The following program is brought to you by Naleo TV, the people's platform.
Aloha and Happy New Year. It is 2025. We're in my studio. We're starting a brand new series. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to do a Tiki playing an ukulele. So we're going to just dive right in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of my dark brown here, mix it with a little bit of medium brown. And what we're going to do is we're going to start up here at the top, bring that down here. I know what you're thinking. Wow, he's using a dark brown on a dark brown background. But what's really going to cool is this is going to be separated, because now I'm going to take a little bit of lighter brown and go in here and lighten that up. And then I'll blend it by bringing it backwards. So it kind of gives it a wood grain-like look to it. What I'm trying to do is keep that white line right there so I know exactly where I'm at. So when I go to outline it, it looks cool. And then we're going to go with the lighter brown, start in the middle, and up. And then again, in the middle there, those sections right there are going to be black. So leave those open for now. And because this is carved wood, as all tikis are, there's going to be divots and dents and all kinds of weird stuff. So I'm going to put another shadow area. So I want this to look like the light is coming from this side here. So we're going to see that highlight on that carved area right there. But right here is opposite of the light. So it's going to be darker right there. So we'll just start up in that corner. Bring it down. And you notice I'm doing that scrubbing technique. It's my favorite technique, especially when I'm doing a tiki, because I want that carved wood look. And I'm using acrylic paint because it blends real easy. It does dry really quick, but okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my medium brown, because I don't want this quite as dark as over here. And then I'll do the same thing, bringing a lighter brown up to it, and then a little orange just to give it that highlight. Alright, so now we're going to do the lighter brown. This gives it that real neat 3D look. And you notice here, I didn't like that. I didn't think it was quite bright enough. So let's go back and throw some in there, whatever I think it is. Now we'll do the orange. So let's just say there's a tiki torch over here to his right. It would be shining on that wood like that. Nice and bright like that. See, when you're painting like this kind of stuff, you have to assume, imagine, think ahead, know what it is you're doing, where you're going with it. And now this It's going to be a lighter brown because there's not that much light up there. But what I'm going to do is put that light brown in there. And then I'm going to take a touch of orange and just hit the top here. So it's just filling up there. I'm barely touching because I don't want a lot of paint on there. Alright, so now the eyelids or eyebrows or whatever you want to call them. And like that. Dark on this side here. Notice I'm also pulling the excess paint off the brush with sometimes my fingers, sometimes the paper towel. So today's show, we're starting a new year, and the TV station has decided that I get an hour. So we're going to take our time. If you've watched my show in the past, you know that I've been rushing these because we only had half an hour, and it's really tough to get all this detail and all this explanation stuff in here in 30 minutes. So they discussed it and came up with giving me an hour. That's cool. And I know it still looks like I'm rushing, but that's just the way I paint. Now see how this isn't as bright as that because it's actually under that right there. And then I'm going to go in here with a dark brown here. And now to separate that divot, I'm just going to hit this with a little bit of lighter brown. Emphasize that size of his nose there. Now I'm just going to go in with a solid dark brown on this because I want that shadow behind the nose. I don't know how close the camera's getting that, but right there you can see the separation. Dark brown. Same thing here, we'll get this little indent. When I'm done with this, I'm actually going to outline it with my enamel sign painter's paint. And again, too, I'm using my filbert brush, which is the rounded tip. It allows me to do fine line and cover a lot of area. See how I put that orange right there, and then I went up to it and pulled it away so I get a nice thin line right there. Do it again so you can see what I do. So I'm gonna take a little extra orange here. Put this all over his cheek coming down this way here. Clean this brush. Then I'm going to start up here and I'm just going to do little circles. And I'm going to push that orange right to the edge. So it gives me a nice highlight without being bold and funky. I do my teeth many different ways. So I'm going to try something fun today. So this is the dark side. So the light's coming from here. There's nothing over here, so it's all shadowed. So we're going to keep it darker over there. See, as long as that paint is wet, you can blend right into it. And if it dries, just add a little more paint to it. Moisten it up again. I love this ukulele player. I love his fingers and stuff. It took me a while to find the right position. I experimented with a bunch of different stuff. This one just turned out looking really cool. So I don't want this to look like a highlight, but I want to give some definition to his chest panels here. But see how I've got that separation right there between his pecs? That looks really good. do this just right, it can almost look like an airbrush painting. Some of you may have noticed that I do not have the ukulele drawn in here completely. I missed that last night. So I'm going to freehand that in there. So on that, I'm not putting any orange over there because the highlight would be diminishing by now. So use a little bit of flow. It's looking really good. I feel like this is only taking me 10 minutes to do. But Good. Let's rinse the brush out. There's a lot of paint in there. So now let's see what we can do about making that ukulele look like coal. So this is my Payne's Gray. It's black, but it's not actually black. It's going to blend really nicely on here. And it's going to separate that ukulele from his belly. He's a Tiki, so that's a guava belly. Same thing here. I'm just going to put the Payne's Gray just to give me a little bit more of a shadow area. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take that liner brush here, put a little flow. A bit of grain on the wood right there. That looked good. Okay, so now I'm going to take that Payne's Gray again, thin it down just a little bit. So what I'm going to do now, do the fretboard with the black. Some of you may be looking at that going, hey, you forgot something. I didn't forget it. I'm going to put the sound hole in right now. Right there. We do the headstock. I'm going to take that outliner brush and I'm just going to go right around here. Just to give that just a little bit of a highlight right there. Take that same liner brush. Now what I'm doing is I'm rolling this in paint to thin it out a little bit so I can get a then I'm going to take some white. Those tuning pegs here. Yeah, barely touching it, loading the brush, putting it down and then just dragging it where I want. If you get too much paint on there, it's real simple. Just wipe your brush off and go in and dab it out. All right, so that looks good now. Let's see if I've got enough paint on here to just barely dragging the tip across there. There we go. That looks good. Now we're going to grab some light brown. Sometimes I do the teeth white. And people say, well, how would a tiki that's carved out of wood have white teeth? Yeah, well, it's art. There's no rules. Do whatever you want. I've got a bunch of tikis that I painted with white teeth, and I think they look really cool. But today, on this happy little ukulele player, I'm going to do light brown. So now what I'm going to do, because this is the furthest away, and I'm going to show some depth in his mouth right here. So I'll put that dark brown coming in this way here. A little bit of brown over here. I'll bring that shadow right there. Now, I'm just going to put a little bit of orange highlight. All right. So, that is all the acrylic paint that we need on there. That looks really good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to switch gears and we're going to go into my enamel. What I'm dipping in here for the thinner, this is just turpentine. And I'm mixing it in really well because this stuff is kind of thick. So this is really cool. This is my favorite part about this. Now, if you go to do this and you're trying to do this freehand without any support, watch what I do. I take my fingers, make an L, I take my pinky, and I will hold onto this like this. So when I do this, my hand stays nice and steady. And I just pull it where I want it to go. And then when I get to the end, I just stop and lift up. And if you try and pull it towards you, it's easier to control. And sometimes, if you see what I just did, sometimes I'll just put my finger on my hand, it'll stay steady too. And when you want to fill in a wide area, I just push the brush down, keep an eye on what it's doing so it's not getting too crazy. See how nice that looks like? Now, before I get too far, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little niche or a notch or a crack or whatever you want to call it. Right there. And right now, in order to get that point, what I'm doing is I'm pulling it and lifting up at the same time so that it comes off the point. When you're painting, there's no rhyme or reason. Just do whatever makes it work for you. I do all kinds of different techniques because you just can't just do one. You see how nice and straight that line is right there? So I'm just putting it down and pulling it straight back. Lift it up. What I'm doing here is I'm just pulling it like that, and then I'm turning and going right up to the next one. That way there's no gaps, no stop and start points. To avoid that, you start over the wet area and pull into it. So like right here, if I want to start way down here, I can pull up to that corner and push down a little bit and pull that right down there. Fill that in like that. It's a good idea to keep looking ahead so you know what it is you're about to do or get into. I use the side of my palette here to draw out any excess paint that I don't want on the brush. Now the nose, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that to a point. I don't know how well you can see that, but I'm going to start very lightly and I'm just going to bring it and then I'm going to draw it down. This is usually the time where I talk the least amount because I'm concentrating on what I'm doing. See how nice and flowy that paint is? I don't know if you saw that, but I kind of jerked it to a point. I'll do it again down here. In case you missed it, it'll come around. There's nothing right there, and I'm just going to jerk it. When I'm jerking it, what I'm doing is I'm pulling it back and up at the same time. I don't expect you to be able to do what I do. I've been doing this for years. But if you practice, you can do just what I'm doing. Hopefully you get better at it than me. Waving those little knuckles in so they look like knuckles there. Now before we do that headstock, we're going to go in here and finish up the stuff that's inside here, because I don't want to drag my fingers across freshly painted enamel. I just love the way that nose looks right there, the bridge. That turned out really nice. Now see, I'm doing something wrong, so I'm going to stop there, come back over here, and then I'm going to start down here and just draw it into this. That way I can get more of a perfect circle as opposed to trying to do it all in one full pull. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to outline those tuning pegs. And that is really the hard part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thin this down just a little bit. Get rid of a lot of the paint on there. Get it to a nice point. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the tip and barely touch it and drag it around. And when you're doing this kind of stuff, it's a really good idea to relax and pay attention. And there you have it. That looks cool. All right, so we are getting close to the end of this show. I'm going to finish this up and do the all-important signature portion of it. Because I always say an artist has to sign his work. And I always tell you, sign it with your name, not your initial, not a symbol. Because if anybody's going to buy your artwork, they want to be able to brag about the artist. They want to brag about your name. And if they see some symbol or initial, they have to explain it. Nobody wants to do that. Okay. Final brush stroke. Now, I'm going to clean my brush. Here. Real small. And again, I'm working off the tip. And the first painting of 25. Look at that. All right. So for now, this painting is done. I might put a logo or something up in the headstock, but take a look at that. Isn't that beautiful? How much fun is that? So while we have a couple of minutes left, I do want to remind you that Naleo TV will take your calls, they'll take your emails, whatever. So if you have any comments about the show, if you want me to do anything specific or special for you, let me know. If you're watching the show and you want me to know, we're good. I would love to do that. So in this year, 25 that we're in, sorry, we're going to come up with a whole bunch of new stuff that we're going to do. What it is, I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet, but I figured the first one I wanted to do this year was my ukulele playing Tiki. I also do, I just drew up this really cool Tiki playing congas, so we're going to stick with the Hawaiian theme of music and stuff like that. So I'm going to do a whole series of Tikis playing instruments, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. I'm out of things to say, so hey, we got an hour, so I'm trying to fill it up, so sorry. But, you want me to throw some blue in there right quick? Okay, so my producer is telling me, do that. So you'll get an idea of what the blue does, or what it looks like and stuff. I'll finish it when we turn off the cameras. But so I'll start up here, and you'll see how much this pops when I do this. So the blue separates the brown Tiki from the brown background. I painted a car for my buddy about a week ago. He's got a 1930 Ford Coupe. It's beautiful. And he wanted me to pinstripe it, and I was hemming and hawing. I just didn't want to pinstripe it. I wanted something else. And he said, "What about one of your Tikis?" Well, you don't have to twist my arm for that. And it turned out awesome. It's one of my Tikis with a hot rod theme to it, so it's got the crossed pistons. And it turned out sweet. Again, see how I'm coming around the round area, and then I'm going to come back into it this way here. That way I get a nice line for that. And now you see I'm working upside down. See how nice and bright that looks? I will tell you that the reason it's easier to pull those straight lines like that is the shape of the brush and the length of the hairs on the brush. If you tried to do this with a short brush, you won't be able to pull those lines. One, they don't hold as much paint, and two, they don't lay down properly. Alright, so there's one more thing that I want to do. I'm going to put that notch right there and exactly. There it is. All right, and all done. Okay, so join me next time when we paint something more fun. Aloha.